Every love story hides a secret. Some secrets are sweet, and some are deadly. This is not just a love story. This is a story of pain, of obsession, of fate, and of a promise that death itself could not break. Part 1: The Arrival and the Connection. Aiden was a writer. He lived in New York, but the city had drained him. His girlfriend had left him, his friends were busy in their own lives, and his publisher had lost faith in his ability to finish a book. For months, he stared at blank pages. Nothing came. The voices in his head had grown quiet, and he felt like he was fading away. So, he decided to leave. He rented a car, drove for hours, and reached a small forgotten town in Vermont. It was late October, the trees burning red and gold with autumn leaves, the wind sharp, the world quieter. The house he rented stood at the edge of the forest, an old Victorian house built of dark wood, with windows like empty eyes staring at him. The owner, an old man at the gas station, had given him the key with a warning. People don't stay long in that house. If you hear voices, don't answer. Aiden laughed it off. He didn't believe in ghosts. He only believed in deadlines. The first night was silent to silent. The air inside smelled of dust and old flowers. The wooden floors groaned under his steps. In the living room, a huge mirror leaned against the wall, covered with a white sheet. He felt a strange chill when he touched it, but he shrugged it off. The second day, while unpacking, he found the diary, hidden beneath a broken floorboard in the bedroom. Its leather was cracked, its pages yellow, and on the first page, in elegant handwriting, were the words, "My name is Zoey. If anyone ever finds this diary, please know. I loved Aiden more than my life." Aiden's blood ran cold. His own name, written in a diary that looked 70 years old. At first, he thought it was coincidence. But as he read more, the pages told him a story. A story of a young woman named Zoey who fell in love with a soldier named Aiden in the early 1950s. Their love was forbidden, but it was pure. They planned to run away and start a life together. But the night before their wedding, tragedy struck. Zoey disappeared. Some said she died of heartbreak. Others whispered she was killed. Aiden put the diary away. He didn't want to think about it. But that night, strange things began to happen. At midnight, he heard footsteps in the hallway. He opened the door. No one. He heard a woman humming a soft tune. But the house was empty. And when he looked in the mirror covered by the sheet, he swore he saw a shadow of a woman standing behind him. He whispered into the dark, "Zoey, if you're real, give me a sign." The candle flickered. The window burst open, and the diary flipped open by itself to a page that read, "I'm still waiting." From that moment, everything changed. Aiden felt her presence everywhere. When he wrote, he felt her sitting beside him, guiding his hand. When he slept, he felt the soft scent of roses drifting around him. And sometimes, late at night, he felt a cold hand brush against his cheek, almost like a lover's touch. At first, he was terrified, but slowly, he began to crave it. He began to talk to her, and though he couldn't see her, he felt her. He felt her loneliness, her sorrow, her endless love. He was falling in love with a ghost. Part 2: The Dark Secret and the Horror. But love always carries secrets, and Zoey's secret was darker than anything Aiden could imagine. Aiden visited the local library to search for the truth. He discovered that in 1952, a woman named Zoey had lived in the same house. She had been deeply in love with a man, also named Aiden, a soldier who never returned from war. On the night she was supposed to marry, tragedy struck. Some said she took her own life out of despair. Others whispered that something darker happened, that she was betrayed, murdered, and her soul never left the house. The villagers avoided the house. They said at night they could hear a woman crying, singing love songs, and sometimes screaming in rage. When Aiden learned this, he tried to leave. He packed his bags and went to the bus station. But while waiting, he suddenly collapsed. When he opened his eyes, he was back in the same room, the diary on his chest, as if Zoey had pulled him back. That night, in the mirror, he saw her for the first time. A woman in a torn bridal dress, her face pale, her eyes filled with endless sorrow, bloodstains on her hands, her lips trembling as she whispered, "Finish our story, Aiden. Don't leave me incomplete again." Terror gripped him, yet his heart ached with compassion. This wasn't just a ghost. This was love stuck between two worlds. But love turned darker with each passing night. Shadows crawled across the walls. Doors slammed shut by themselves. The house whispered his name again and again. Aiden woke up one night with invisible hands clutching his throat. He gasped for air and saw Zoey's face hovering above him, tears rolling down as she screamed. "Why didn't you come back for me? Why did you leave me alone?" The house grew more violent. Blood-red words appeared on the walls. "Stay with me forever." The windows locked themselves. The doors refused to open. Aiden realized he was trapped, bound to her by fate. His days became nightmares. He saw her in reflections, in shadows, even in his dreams. Sometimes she was beautiful, smiling, whispering love. Other times she was monstrous, her face twisted with rage, her voice breaking glass. Aiden could feel his sanity slipping, but deep down, part of him didn't want to leave. Part of him wanted to stay, to give himself to her completely. Part 3: The Last Letter and the Farewell. The diary became his only guide. On the last page, written in shaky handwriting, were the words, "If you are truly my Aiden, burn this diary and set me free." His hands trembled. Could he really end her presence? Could he destroy the only connection to the woman he had grown to love? He lit a match. The flames devoured the diary. The entire house trembled. The walls cracked, and Zoey's spirit appeared one last time, radiant and peaceful. She looked at him, her eyes soft, her lips smiling through the tears. "Thank you, my love," she whispered, and then dissolved into light. The house grew silent. The air grew warm. Zoey was gone. At sunrise, Aiden walked away from the house carrying only the ashes of the diary. He returned to New York, and for the first time in years, he wrote again. His new novel was titled The Last Letter. The book became famous, touching thousands of hearts. Readers cried, believing it to be fiction. But Aiden knew it was real. He had loved a woman from another time. And sometimes, late at night, when the city sleeps, he still smells roses in the air. And in the silence, a soft whisper brushes against his ear. "I will always love you, Aiden."